The movie starts with a woman playing a song in her car, while her child is tucked in the back seat. She leaves the car on the railroad and leaves the baby to die as a train crushes the car. Later on, we see Carly Ryan speak with her boyfriend, Damon, on the phone while he rides his bicycle. She asks him if he is prepared for his PSATs that day, and Damon teases her, revealing that he is unable to study because she is always calling him during his study time. She suggests that they go out later that day to celebrate his test, although Damon wonders how she will get away from her parents. Carly states that she will come up with something, boasting of her creative imagination. Soon after, Josh, Carly's younger brother, interrupts her conversation, informing her that their mother wants her to get out of bed, but Carly yells at him and asks him to knock. She runs after him for throwing a dirty cloth at her, and she throws his toy at him in retaliation, causing one of their family pictures to fall from the wall. Later on, the family has their breakfast and they hear the news of the mother, who left her child to die on the railroad. Carly tries her luck and asks if she could go to the movies with Riley, her friend, but her mother, Kendall, sees through her lies and wonders why anyone under 30 should go to the movies. Her father, Brent, insists that she must not see that boy, referring to Damon, and Carly fires back at him, reminding him that Damon has a name and asks why he doesn't want her to see him. Brent tells her that Damon is a junior and she is a sophomore, hence their relationship is not healthy. Kendall joins in on the conversation. She reminds Carly that her grandparents are coming that night and she must see them as they have not met in a long time. Carly is not interested in the dinner with her grandparents. She says that her mother and grandmother will only argue throughout the night, while her grandfather will tell his disgusting Vietnam stories. The family members get into a silly argument and Carly wishes Kendall's sister Jeannie would have her baby today, thereby preventing the dinner from happening. Shortly after, Kendall drives her to school and she tells Carly that they want to trust her, but she does not make it easy for them. Meanwhile, Carly receives a message, asking her if she got the money, and she has a flashback to the moment she took some cash from her mother's purse. Kendall notices that Carly is not listening to her as she is distracted by her phone. She instructs her not to Facebook when they are driving together as it's the only time they have to spend together. After talking for a while, Kendall confronts her for not telling her anything anymore, even though they used to be best friends, but Carly tells her that things are now different as she now has other friends. This makes Kendall emotional and she reveals that Carly and Josh mean everything to her. She expresses her concern, stating that it's not fair when she shuts her up, but Carly yells again and says that it's not her fault that she has no life. Back at their house, Brent plays in a strange manner with Josh and bids his maids goodbye before leaving the house. Outside, just as he is about to enter his car, he stops to look at his reflection through the car window, and then he turns to look at the neighborhood. At school, Carly's friend, Riley, is caught by the teacher listening to a song in class and the teacher seizes her phone. Carly sends her a message and the teacher replies, asking her to bring the phone to the front of the class. Elsewhere at home, Josh has a flashback, while he plays around the house. He remembers playing outside one day when all of a sudden, he sees a bird. He decides to nurse the bird, but the bird eventually dies, prompting Josh to run away from Brent. In his room, Josh hears a large noise and he snaps out of his imagination. Kendall goes to the gym, and she has a drink with her friend after the workout. Kendall discovers that her money is missing and insists that she withdrew $100 from the ATM the day before. Her friend tells her that her daughter steals from her, but Kendall insists that Carly is not like that. During class, the students notice that their parents are coming to pick them up earlier than expected and Carly asks the teacher what's going on, but he ignores her. Riley gets drugs from a fellow student using the money she stole, but an emergency gathering is declared right after. Meanwhile, Damon decides to submit his test early as he sees a lot of parents through the window and deduces that something is wrong. A mob of parents waiting in front of the school want to pick up their kids, but the teacher insists that they can't release the students as they don't know what's going on. A student jumps over the gate to meet his mother, despite the teacher and security guards trying to hold him down. He meets his mother on the other side, but she picks up her key and stabs him. After witnessing what just happened, the parents jump over the gate and start killing their children. The school descends into chaos as students start running away from their parents and Carly manages to escape with Riley in her car. Damon returns home to his drinking father. He takes out the trash and he does not realize what is happening as he is too distracted to watch the news. When Damon returns, he notices the TV is experiencing transmission failure and tries to figure out what is happening, but his father hits him. Damon believes his father is drunk and that is the cause of his violent outburst. He begs his father to stop, but the man breaks a bottle instead and cuts Damon's hand. While Damon tries to run away, his father accidentally slips and accidentally slits his throat with the bottle in hand. Meanwhile, Kendall thinks about what her friend told her and tries to figure out if Carly steals from her. She sees a card in her purse and remembers a man advising her to do something fun to get over the kids growing up without her. She cries but quickly cleans her tears when she receives a call from the hospital that her sister, Jeannie, is about to give birth. She gets startled by a cop car and bursts into tears once again. Elsewhere, Riley drives Carly to her house and a curious Carly turns on that TV in order to find out what is going on. She sees a broadcast of parents murdering their children, but Riley isn't interested and leaves to see her mother. Not long after, Carly hears a sudden shout and decides to go upstairs to check on Riley. However, she receives the shock of a lifetime as she sees Riley's mother strangling her. Meanwhile, Kendall also sees the news at the hospital, but she is interrupted by the nurse as Jeannie is being taken to the delivery room. She encourages her to push, and Dan, Jeannie's ex-boyfriend, takes the footage of the delivery. Jeannie successfully gives birth to her daughter, but the transmission failure occurs again. Jeannie loses her mind and tries to kill the newborn child, but Kendall quickly takes the child from her. She pleads with Jeannie to stop, but she doesn't listen and tries to take the baby from Kendall's hands. Carly runs out of Riley's house in horror and bumps into Damon outside. Damon asks for her brother and the two leave to meet Josh at home. Elsewhere at Brent's office, he gets a call from Kendall but refuses to pick it up and lets out a scream, as he is also affected by the attack. The girl is also taken away from Kendall and the nurse tells her that they need to keep the child safe until they know what's happening. Kendall reluctantly releases the child and leaves. She calls the housekeeper to confirm if everything is fine and reveals that she is on her way home. Damon and Carly arrive at her house and Carly confirms that Brent isn't home yet. Damon tells her that they need to get into the house quickly and get his brother out of there. They go inside and discover that the housekeeper is cleaning the bloodstain of her daughter. Carly leaves to search for Josh and she finds him under his bed. It turns out that the noise he heard earlier was from the housekeeper killing her daughter. She tries to convince him that they need to leave the house before their parents come back, but Josh insists on seeing Brent. While they talk, Brent returns home and picks up an argument with Damon as the transmission failure occurs again, which makes Brent lose his mind. Ignorant of the situation, Josh rushes to meet Brent, but Damon tries to stop him, causing Brent to knock him out before running after Carly and Josh. The two escape to the basement and find out that it is in disarray as there is broken wood all over the floor. It turns 3 weeks ago, Brent built a pool table in the basement. He happily sets the table up, but Kendall sees it and starts to nag, asking about the cost of getting the table. Brent destroys the basement in anger, then emotionally confesses how his life changed after getting married and having kids. Kendall explains that she understands as she also had dreams, but it's all gone now because of their kids. Brent confesses that he misses the time they used to be, Brent and Kendall, not mom and dad. Back to the present, Kendall is on her way home and a woman pushes her baby's carrier in front of her car, causing her to kill the child. She also hears the broadcast that tells parents not to go close to their children if they want to protect them. She stops in front of the house, but her mind gets controlled and she enters the house. She sees Brent on the floor and asks where the children are. Brent tells her that they are in the basement and the two head there. Carly confesses to Kendall that she took her money to give Riley, but Kendall tells her not to worry and begs them to come out. However, Brent starts to yell at the kids and instructs them to come out, but the kids refuse, prompting Kendall to cut through the door using a sawzall. Kendall is successful as she starts to cut through the door, while Brent tries to retrieve his gun. However, Josh knows about Brent's gun and shoots Kendall in the hand. Brent returns and Kendall confronts him about having a gun in the house. He explains that a psycho might try to enter the house and they need to defend themselves. Brent helps her to treat the wound and the two run a hose from the oven's pump to the basement as they try to poison the kids. Meanwhile, Carly tells Josh that they will be fine down there, however she finds out that Kendall is covering the holes made by the sawzall. She decides to check out what's happening, but Kendall stabs the door with a knife, forcing her to run away. Brent and Kendall sit together and patiently wait for their kids to be poisoned. Brent asks her how long it will take for the gas to circulate and Kendall tells him that we'll hear the kids coughing. The two of them strengthen their bond in the process and wait for the death of their kids. At night, the kids start coughing and Carly begs Josh to stay with her. She also explains that she doesn't know what they can do to prevent what's happening, but their parents want to hurt them and they must not allow that to happen. Carly spots the gas, and she sets a trap at the door, using matches, before escaping with Josh through the ventilation system. Kendall and Brent hear them coughing and decide to enter, but he ignites the gas, which causes an explosion that knocks them down and wakes Damon in the process. Carly gets back into the house alongside Josh but runs back to her room as soon as she sees Kendall. She immediately has a flashback to the first time she used Kendall's makeup and was afraid of her mother's reaction, but Kendall tells her not to be afraid and helps her with it. Kendall breaks into the room and attacks Carly, but Damon helps her escape after she bites her mother. The two enter the room, but Kendall follows them. They manage to push her into the closet and hold the door down. Damon and Carly are about to share a kiss, but Josh interrupts them to ask for Kendall. Concurrently, Kendall breaks into the room and accidentally stabs Damon's cheek, while trying to escape. Carly and Josh run away, while Damon tries to hold Kendall back but she pushes him off the stairs. Brent also gains consciousness and joins Kendall. Carly begs them and apologizes for everything she has done as their parents are close to them, but Brent insists on cutting them with the sawzall. Kendall immediately stops him as she hears a knock on the door and says that they have forgotten about his parents as they are coming over that night. Brent drops the sawzall to attend to them, but the attack has also taken over them and his mother sprays him with pepper spray while his father stabs him multiple times. Josh begs his grandfather not to kill Brent, but Brent, still under the attack, chases him while his father also chases him. The trio chase each other all over the house while Kendall tries to hold her mother-in-law back from hurting Brent. She does not listen to her and tells her that she was never good enough for her son. Josh runs into the car and remembers when his father told him a story of how he crashed his father's car while taking his girlfriend out for a ride. Brent then jokes about killing him if he messes up his car again, after the bird he saved died in the car. Meanwhile, Brent tries to capture him but Josh starts the car and leaves while Brent enters and his father chases him. Brent drives the car while Kendall sprays her mother-in-law with pepper spray, before knocking her out. Kendall starts to chase Carly and hits her on her head. However, her mother-in-law tries to kill her, but Kendall pushes her away. Brent drives the car out of the garage and crashes it, killing his parents and also knocking himself out in the process. Kendall is about to finish Carly off, but Damon arrives just in time and knocks her out with a shovel. Brent and Kendall wake up and find out that they are restrained in the basement while the kids watch them. They continue to exhibit the symptoms of the attack and ask them to release them, but the kids refuse. Josh and Carly tell them that they love them and Kendall tearfully says that they love them too. Brent tells him that although he loves them, sometimes we just want to, but it all fades to black before he finishes his sentence.